Mabuhay everybody and welcome. There are certain days where you just want to go out and drive, explore, see new places, take your mind off things. But there's a problem sometimes in choosing what car you want to bring. It needs to be comfortable, it needs to be spacious, and most importantly, it needs to be able to go over any terrain and tackle any conditions. And right behind me is a car that I think does that. This is the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee L. If the Gladiator and the Wrangler are like Lego pieces where you can remove and add certain things to make them more capable, this is a sculpture already formed to take on those things. So what about the Grand Cherokee L do I think makes it capable? Let's find out. The first thing you'll notice about the Grand Cherokee is how enormous the car is. From the previous generation up to this new one, it's just so much bigger. However, I noticed while looking at it, it's not so much as it's gotten much wider, I think just by a little bit, but it's long. It's a really long car. But it has a lot of presence, not what do you call this? It's not an intimidating presence, but it stands out in a good way. It just really sets itself apart in terms of the way it looks. You can tell it's still a Jeep, but you know that it's supposed to be something completely different from the hardcore old school looks of the Gladiator and the Wrangler. It's more classy, more subdued, and yeah, it's a great looking car. So now it's time to talk about all those things I was mentioning earlier. What makes this the perfect getaway vehicle? So first things first, you have to know is that you can say a lot of things about American cars, but the one thing Americans know how to do is to build a car that can cruise comfortably on any highway or on any expressway. That's their specialty, and it shows in the Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's so big and commanding, and there's so much how do I say this, it feels so solid when you're driving it on the road. But at the same time, despite it being a 4x4, it's supposed to be able to tackle any terrain. It's comfortable enough. I mean, it's not as comfortable as riding on a marshmallow down a river of honey, but it's comfortable enough. And as you load it more, because this is a 7-seater, the ride should become more compliant and more comfortable for yourself and the passengers. So, powering this car is a 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, and it's more or less the same engine I think they put in the Gladiator. It makes here in the Philippines 278 horsepower and about 344 Newton meters of torque, which is more than enough to move this big hunk of American car forward. And that's all you needed to do, is comfortably carry its own weight and to be able to just waft along the road, because that's exactly what the Grand Cherokee does. It just wafts. It's just riding along the road, bumps and ruts on the road, you barely feel them. It's that's the ADAS system, by the way. So good thing about being a modern car is it has the autonomous driving aids, so you have the cruise control, the adaptive cruise control, you have lane keep assist, and you also have what they call this, you actually have a heads-up display, so you don't have to really move your head or your eyes away from the road. You can keep it straight. You can look, you can see the speed in the heads-up display, you can see the cruise control, the settings and all of that. So good, it's an added safety feature. But I'd like to point out also that the one thing I really like going back is the engine. I just really like this engine. It's tuned to be refined, but there's some sort of ruggedness to it that just sometimes when you put your foot down, you can hear a little snarl, you can hear a little burble during idle. You just know that if you poke it, it's gonna go. So yeah, overall the drive, it's great. Let's just talk about some of the creature comforts. So you have plush leather seats, leather everywhere. Although you might not be able to tell because it's predominantly black in here, there are some dark wooden panels just to break the monotony a little bit. You have a digital screen, you have for the gauge cluster, and you also have a digital screen for the infotainment system. It's nice to know also that it also already comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for connectivity. It just doesn't have heated seats, which really annoyed me. It actually also has cooled seats, so you have to press a button here and you can cool the seats. It has 3 fan settings, so the hotter, just press it, then you can heat the That's a really welcome thing, especially if you're living here in a very hot country, especially now because it's summer. So to really sum it all up, the Grand Cherokee's main purpose, and it excels really during long drives. In fact, we've taken it here to New Clark City because this for me is the best representation of where the Jeep Grand Cherokee was probably honed, developed, and fine-tuned. Wide open roads. And that's exactly what the Grand Cherokee likes. It excels here. It's so relaxing. It's one of the most relaxing cars I've ever taken on an expressway. And it's such a great thing. And while it is an indulgence, at least it's an indulgence that the whole family can partake in. So all that length that I was talking about earlier in terms of the way the Grand Cherokee looks pays off here inside the interior, because actually I'm here in the third row and this is the most comfortable third row I've ever been in. But moving on to the second row, you can see how much legroom and space there is for people sitting here, even if that's my driving position, and even if Kelvin was sitting there basically lying down a while ago, you can still see the space here. And it's not just the space, you actually also have your own buttons for the aircon, you have your own buttons for the seat heaters, the seat ventilation, you have a lot of charging ports, USB, USB-C, and you even have a socket. So if you need to work on your laptop or charge anything, you can just plug it right on there. So you can see how this car is really biased towards the family. It's for the family man or woman. All I can say is it's a nice place to be in. So now we're here in the third row, and I want to point out one of the more unique features here in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is it's called the Fam Cam. So you can actually spy on your family. So that's how you know this car is based for people who are supposed to have big families. So the camera's put on the headliner and you can see the different seats. You can actually click the specific seats you want to highlight just to make sure your kids aren't doing anything naughty. Honestly though, it's kind of creepy. Now it's time to justify the Jeep Grand Cherokee. And to be completely honest with you, it comes at a premium. This car costs 5,490,000 pesos, which is a heck of a lot of money for a car like this. There are more affordable options that can do more or less the same thing as the Jeep Grand Cherokee. However, I've established that this car is such a great car to be in either as a passenger or as a driver. It's a cruiser, not a bruiser. And that in itself is enough for me to say that personally, I would consider this if you really wanted to make a statement in terms of a family car. So if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. This has been Pablo Salapantan of YugaAuto. Thank you for watching. Paalam.